Want to make more print-on-demand sales in 2025? One popular sales strategy is to create designs that blend popular trends with your specific niche. By knowing what's trending, where the attention is, and what people are buying right now, we can create designs and products that meet the demand and as a result, build a more profitable and sustainable brand. In this episode, we're going to be breaking down 4 print-on-demand design trends that are predicted to blow up in 2025, some of which already are, so that you can create for the demand and convert shoppers into customers. My name is Adrian Von Arx, here with my co-host Carrie Egler. Welcome to the Print-on-Demand Playbook podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. I am actually really excited about this episode because I get to talk about one of my favorite topics. I love talking about sales generating activity. And I truly believe that the number one thing holding people back from making a lot more sales is their designs and products. You know, I always say there's kind of 3 things you need. You need a product that has mass appeal with your target audience. You need a place for people to buy that product. And then you need eyeballs on that product. And while so many people think they have a traffic problem, they don't think they're getting enough eyeballs. And that is the case a lot of the time. I actually think the bigger problem is number 1, not having a product that has mass appeal with your target audience. And if you want to prove this to yourself, just go and run some ads. It's very humbling. And usually, especially at the beginning, you'll be humbled very quickly because Meta will put it in front of thousands of people, and many times it doesn't result in sales. So we're going to be talking about designs today because this is so important. But before we jump in, Carrie, I got to ask you, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing very good. Good to be with you today. Excited about these trends. I was just telling you before, I was like, man, I don't know what these trends are. these design trends. So throughout this episode, as you're kind of talking about them, I'm going to be looking at them and hopefully I'll have something to offer on this episode, but I'm looking forward to really like learning from what you've seen here and then like maybe applying that myself. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm excited to get your commentary. And I think as you look at these trends, you're going to start to, especially as we speak more to them, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that one. I feel like some of these are like that. So just to give you, our listeners, some context here, all the trends that we're going to be discussing on this episode, they've been predicted to explode in 2025 in the Pinterest Predicts 2025 Trends Report. So each year, Pinterest releases a trends report. And what I like about it is it's actually, they claim that it's not so much based around current trends, but upcoming trends. And that's really cool because a lot of the times, like blending trends with products that have mass appeal, that evoke emotion and relatability for your target audience, this can be a great recipe for success. And so what I want to do is I want to read what Pinterest said about this. And I also want to mention that they've been doing this for many years. And their predictions are actually really good. And what I love about them is they're actually using data. Like they're using data from Pinterest searches to see what looks to be trending. And then they're making their predictions based on the data. So I really like that. Here's what they say about this report, just so everyone kind of gets a lay of the land here. So on the website, they say, meet Pinterest Predicts, your preview into the future. In our annual Not Yet Trending report, we call the 20 emerging trends your audience, we call the 20 emerging trends your audience is sure to love next. And these are not fleeting fads because people use Pinterest to plan. We have unique insight into what's going to be really big really soon. Our predictions are proven to last longer than a viral moment, providing your brand with an unmatched opportunity to not only hook your consumers, but also convert them. So I love that. And that's definitely, like, I believe the case when I reviewed this report. But this report came out in December, which wasn't that long ago at all. I'm already starting to see some of these play out and make sellers a lot of sales. So we're going to focus on 4 particular trends in this episode because I didn't think I looked through all 20 of I looked through these a long time ago, and I just didn't think all 20 were super applicable to print on demand. And I really want to focus on the trends that can be blended with a print on demand business to create products that are both on trend and relevant to your target audience. So let's just jump right into it. Hey, I wanted to let you know that my free print on demand masterclass is now available on demand. On that training titled How to Make Your First $10,000 in Sales with Shopify and Print on Demand, I reveal the exact strategy that I used to generate multiple millions in sales across 2 apparel brands and have helped many others implement as well. If you're totally new to POD, this should give you a clear path to sales and profitability. And if you're a POD veteran, this is meant to help you multiply your growth faster. There, I also discuss how you can get direct coaching from myself and Carlos through my beginner training and coaching program, T-Shirt Legends Academy, if that's something you're interested in. You can check it out by clicking the link in the show notes below, or go to ecomlegendsacademy.com/grow. And now back to the show. I'm going to start with the first one, and Pinterest is calling this cherry coated. So that's what they're calling this trend. And really,
Coated.
It's just, what's that?
It sounds like coated,
right?
Cherry coated, but it's coded.
True.
Whatever.
Good point.
Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't know. That's a good point. I never really thought about that. But it's CODED. So let me read what the article says about this. So they say, dark, sweet, and such a vibe. Gen Z and millennials will infuse cherries into their makeup, menus, and mood boards this year. One thing's for sure, Tarte will have your heart in 2025. And then you can see some of the trending search terms in this report that are related to cherries. Really, it's cherries. And one is cherry vibe up 325%. Another one, cherry. Not all these are totally relevant to print on demand, but cherry bedroom plus 100%, cherry car plus 270%, cherry martini plus 80%. That could be really good for wall art, but also apparel. And other print on demand products as well. And then dark cherry red is up 235%. Carrie, I have a question for you. Does Tarte have your heart in 2025? Your thoughts?
I'm in, bro. I'm in. Does Tarte have my heart? Yes, I'm in, man. No, I can see it here. Cherry vibe. I mean, plus up 325%. So it's not just red. It's really like these dark cherry colors. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to go all in on cherries, man.
Yeah,
POD cherry t-shirts.
You know, it's funny. So I wanna give like a little bit more about this. But
do you know if these are in order? Like, is this like number one, or is it like, I don't know.
I don't know if they put them in any particular order. Okay. I didn't treat it like they put them in any particular order, but the way that I am laying these 4 trends out is in the order that they put them. So a couple things to know about cherries. First of all, cherries alone have actually been really popular in the last year. Like 2024, cherries really started taking off. And I feel like it was really synonymous with the coquette design trend. So that's this super feminine trend, which had a lot of pinks and reds and bows and cherries. And that's where I first started kind of seeing it. But now they seem to be kind of breaking out into a category of their own. As you can see with these search terms skyrocketing for things like cherry vibes and dark cherry red, kind of getting away from that pink, right? The pink that you see so often with coquette. And when I actually searched cherry vibes in Pinterest, I was curious, like, what is that? I could see that it was less of a super feminine vibe like coquette, a lot less pink, and more of like a deeper, darker red aesthetic. I also searched cherries on Etsy. So even though I prefer Shopify over Etsy, I love Etsy for product and design research. It's one of my favorite places to go. Mm-hmm. And so I always like to start searches there to see if things are trending and look for sales validation and whatnot. So I just searched cherries on Etsy and I filtered by bestsellers. And first off, my Everbee Chrome extension showed me that there are currently over 1,700 monthly searches for the term cherries. And a lot of those products were apparel, particularly t-shirts. And I was able to see that there's quite a few popular and best-selling cherry-inspired t-shirts. So there's definitely people buying this. And, to our listeners, if you go out to a lot of big stores, kind of big box stores, and even maybe some smaller ones, you're probably going to start noticing a lot of cherries, not just with the Coquette design aesthetic, but on their own. So they're gaining their independence from Coquette. I feel like they've been kind of living in the shadow of Coquette for the last year, but now they're really starting to kind of like go out on their own.
They're niching down.
Yeah, they're just like owning it. We're cherries. We don't need the pink. We don't need the bows. But I will say that Coquette and cherries are still very popular, and there's lots of evidence to show that there are sales being made. So I'm not saying abandon Coquette, because this trend, the Coquette trend, really started taking off last like early 2024. And it seemed like it was kind of going to just disappear one day. And it absolutely has not. Every upcoming holiday, I see people blending Coquette with the holiday, and a lot of them blend it with their niche. And they can sell really well. People are getting really crafty, blending Coquette with whatever's coming up. I've seen Coquette Halloween designs selling really well leading up to Halloween. Coquette Christmas designs selling well leading up to Christmas. Coquette Valentine's Day selling really well. Coquette Easter selling really well. And I can guarantee you that Coquette Mother's Day designs are also going to sell super well.
Gonna crush.
So it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I did find that just looking at Google Trends, I was putting in different search terms: cherry vibe, cherry apparel, all those kind of things. Wasn't much there, but what I did find was dark cherry red in Google Trends. Looks like it's like steadily going up and up. And as of the last year, 2 years, it's really kind of started to take off, dark cherry red. So that's just something to note. Google Trends showing that to be climbing. Very popular.
Yeah. So that supports the predictions here. What's cool about these predictions, what I really like about the report, is they're trying to give you a heads up about future predictions. And we're seeing them play out now, but this is just the beginning for a lot of these trends. And that kind of leads me to the second trend, which, man, this one, I think, first off, I think a lot of people are going to never have heard of this. But I can almost guarantee you that a lot of you have actually seen this. You just didn't know the name for it. And I remember this from quite a while ago, but I hadn't really seen it or heard about it much. And it is making a massive comeback. You know how so many trends are just like the past coming back? It's like the history repeats itself with a lot of trends. This one is very much that. So we're going to go all the way back to the medieval times for this trend. And Pinterest is calling this Rococo Revival. So let me read what the report says, particularly about Rococo Revival. And then I'm going to talk about a sub niche or a sub trend of this that is exploding right now. It is taking off, and I think it's going to be taking off for quite some time. To me, it seems very, very early on. And this is one that I definitely recommend people jump on. So let me just get into it. So here's what they say about what they call Rococo Revival. All frills, no chill. This year, weddings, parties, and aesthetics will draw inspiration from the Rococo era, a late Baroque period that was both opulent and ultra feminine. Gen Z and boomers are driving this trend toward classic corset gowns, luxe accessories, and ornate tablescapes. And then some of the trending search terms, again, not all these are relevant for print on demand. However, a lot of these terms, they can be repurposed and leveraged for print on demand designs. So Rococo wedding up 95%, Rococo party up 140%, Rococo outfit, get this, up 5,465%. That's just insane. Rococo makeup up 70%, and then Rococo cake up 95%. So before I get into the particular sub trend from the Rococo style, Carrie, what are your immediate thoughts on this?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I did.
Don't ask me.
The only thing I found interesting there was that specifically Rococo outfit was up 5,465%. Because the other search terms they had there, wedding 95%, 140%, not as relevant, but Rococo outfit is pretty relevant to what we do. And maybe just taking some of these design aesthetics and applying them to, apparel products, print on demand products, with it being up 5,000% for searches, there's got to be something there for sure, as an opportunity. If you can get a hold of the style of it. I mean, like the picture they have here, obviously print on demand, we're not going to be making corsets and things for the most part. We're not, if you can find those, great. But what would you even print on them? But the photo it has here, I particularly just noticed the pastel kind of colors. It's very it's this pastel kind of pink, blue, the types of fabrics that are there, those kind of things. Maybe that's something to kind of play into there. I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk about one particular design trend, and this is related to Rococo style. And anyone listening is probably like, what? I've never heard that word Rococo. I hadn't either until I looked at this. And this next word, you're probably also going to have never heard of. But you're going to start hearing about it a lot in 2025. And if you don't hear the specific word, you're going to start seeing it a lot in 2025. I'm predicting this to be massive. And I'm already seeing a lot of print on demand sellers, because they're quick to jump on this stuff, as they should be. I'm seeing a lot of them start to roll out products with this design trend and making a lot of sales. Like I've seen a lot of sales validation out there. So the trend, the sub trend of Rococo is called chinoiserie. And I just want you to Google it if you're listening to this. I actually recently put out a YouTube video on chinoiserie showing exactly, it's a shorter YouTube video just showing exactly what it is, showing some sales validation data, and then showing you how to create a chinoiserie inspired design in Canva. So I'm going to spell it so that you can Google it. It's CHINOISERIE. And I had to actually Google how to pronounce it. Chinoiserie. That's how, from the YouTube pronunciation video that I watched, that was it. So I actually searched this in Etsy. Like I said, that's one of my favorite places to go for research. And there's already 1,000 monthly searches of the term chinoiserie, like people actually spelling it correctly. And a lot of those products were apparel, but also there were a lot of other product categories as well. So I've seen this on wall art. I've seen this on jewelry. I've seen this on apparel products, like I mentioned, home decor. It's really starting to take off.
I'm seeing a lot of these flower designs, yep, and even like trees and plants, and then it's those same kind of color schemes I was talking about, those pastel kind of color schemes, blues, pinks. Is that on point?
Pretty close. So what I've noticed about this particular trend is that it's a lot of blue and white, and a lot of the designs are floral inspired. And this is a very old design style. From what I understand, it's inspired by the East, like China, which makes sense. Chinoiserie, right? That actually makes a lot of sense. But I am seeing this a lot right now, but only very, very recently. And so anyone that is doing design research right now to roll out new designs, I want to encourage you to try to blend this into some of your designs, but keep it on point for your actual target audience as well. Like, don't just do a random bunny for Easter with chinoiserie inside. Like, yeah, some people are actually having success selling those. However, there's a lot more competition on broad appeal chinoiserie designs than there is on leveraging this trend and blending it with your particular niche. All of a sudden, the competition gets a lot more dialed in, a lot less, I should say. And this is a great recipe for sales. So I highly recommend figuring out a way to blend this. I've seen this blended with a number of niches. I've already seen it blended with the mom niche, the cowgirl niche, the Christian niche, and a number of other niches as well. Carrie, what are your thoughts? Have you seen this as well?
I have no thoughts. I've already given all my thoughts. No thoughts. No, just what I said earlier. Yeah, like I had a couple different things there. The color scheme, the types of fabrics in these photos, and then like what I saw when I searched chinoiserie, which was like you said, the blues, whites, floral patterns, lots of flowers. To me, I would say there's also like there's like Chinese trees and plants and stuff that I think are in that kind of in that realm that kind of come up. So yeah. I mean, lots of stuff you could definitely play with there. I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah. Another thing I'm seeing a lot of right now is people actually blending coquette designs with chinoiserie designs. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing, for example, is they'll use a bow, which is very coquette-ish, right?
I saw a lot of bows.
And then you'll have a chinoiserie design inside the bow. Instead of it just being like a solid pink bow or a solid red bow, it'll actually be a chinoiserie design inside, which can be really good. Again, definitely try to find a creative way to blend that and make it relatable for your niche. You know, let's say you're in the, I'm just trying to think of like Pitbull niche, and you want to create like a Pitbull mom sweatshirt. You can have a sweatshirt that says Pitbull mom with a chinoiserie bow. So then what you're doing is you're actually stacking 3 different elements here. You've got coquette, which is on trend. You got chinoiserie, which is on trend. And then it's specifically calling out your target audience. Like it's actually relatable to your target audience because you're stacking your niche on there as well. So that's, go ahead.
Another one I found here was Grand Millennial. Have you seen that one?
No,
I'm doing research in real time here.
I love it.
Yes. Love it. So grand millennial style. It's a modern take on traditional homey decor, often referred to as granny chic. Ooh. That blends classic elements with contemporary touches, embracing patterns, textures, vintage pieces for cozy, personalized aesthetic. It looks very similar to what we're talking about, the Rococo, the chinoiserie.
Chinoiserie, yeah.
It looks like it has those vibes for sure. You might look that one up. I just actually saw that on Etsy and then started searching for it. It looks like it's a pretty trendy thing right now. Grand Millennial, for sure.
Grand Millennial. I know that Grandma Chic and Grandpa Chic has been trending upward in the last year, which I think is so funny. Awesome. Like I love it. It's hilarious. But I hadn't heard Grand Millennial.
Look it up.
Yeah, I see grandma. I don't know what to search even. Grandma Chic.
Now, one of the top
grandma products, like targeting grandmas. You know,
no, it's not. It's for millennials, I think. But when you put Grand Millennial as a term in Etsy, the top search that comes up is Grand Millennial chinoiserie.
Okay, yeah. Grand Millennial, 702 monthly searches.
It's definitely related for sure.
In Etsy for grandma. Oh yeah. I'm running the search now. I see teacher, the teacher niche, mom niche, Easter, Christian. Yeah. Love it. It looks like there's some overlap there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is what I particularly love about this design aesthetic is I feel like this is kind of the new coquette right now. And I think a lot of people thought that coquette was just going to die out early last year. And I remember posting YouTube videos about coquette, and people sometimes would comment like, oh, coquette's done, like that trend has passed. And I'm like, please show me the data to support this.
Yeah.
I look at data all the time, and I'm always seeing coquette designs selling really well. Yeah, of course, a lot of them are going to flop like any design trend ever. But the thing is, there's so much sales data out there that shows that coquette is still very hot, and got to give it up to, our industry, our print on demand sellers here, they're keeping this trend alive. Like they are continuing to roll out Coquette for like every upcoming occasion. And there's always best selling designs on Etsy that are Coquette inspired. It definitely hasn't gone anywhere, but what I loved about it was that a lot of people were creatively blending it with their niche. And like I said, that is a recipe for sales. If you're just doing a mass scale product, expect mass competition, right? And I don't recommend that. So what you can do with chinoiserie, it's the same. It can appeal to almost any niche, and so many different products. So I encourage people to try to blend this with their niche. All right. With that,
the next one is interesting.
Okay, so the next one is actually like, Rococo Revival is really old school, and so is the next one. So let me read what the report has to say. Any thoughts before I jump into it, Carrie?
I mean, this is just, I don't know, it's just interesting. I mean, I can see it. I can see how it's popular, but go for it.
Me too. I'm already seeing this like start to trend.
I think this one is more straightforward. I think maybe the most applicable to print on demand sellers. Like you can easily kind of start doing designs, but it's got to fit with your niche for sure. But hit us.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. The third design trend is called Castlecore. So here's what Pinterest has to say about Castlecore. Medieval is having a major moment. In 2025, Gen Z and millennials will take home decor inspiration from ancient castles, while fashion accessories will be Gothic inspired. It's a comeback of the highest order. And some of the trending search terms are antique ruby ring, up 50%, blue medieval dress, very specific, up 85%, castle house plans, up 45%, chainmail necklace, up 45%, and then medieval core, up 110%.
That's my favorite one. Medieval core is cool.
Well, what's interesting is when I so I was looking for sales validation on this trend. This was actually like a couple months ago when I first put out that YouTube video. I put out a YouTube video about Castlecore about 2 months or so ago. And I was looking for sales validation. And when I put in Castlecore, I was like, barely anything was coming up in the search results. But then I realized it's probably because of the word, right? And instead I put in medieval, and it actually brought up almost 2,000 monthly searches just on Etsy. That's signaling pretty strong demand, and which I expect to continue trending upward throughout the year. So the way that I would describe Castlecore, and Carrie, I'm curious to know what you think. This is how I was like thinking about it, and I was like, how do you describe this? And this is kind of something I just came up with. So the way I describe Castlecore is think Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones meets cottagecore, because there's a lot of cottagecore elements in a lot of the designs, and then blend that all with your niche, and you have a Castlecore inspired design. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think what they're saying is, if you like got real specific, it's like medieval castle stuff, like the way that the peaks and different things are constructed on the design of a castle and the different elements of that, like kind of taking from that. But I think overall, you're right. Yeah, it's Game of Thrones. It's maybe a little Harry Potter. I don't know, maybe a little bit, but definitely Gothic, Game of Thrones, medieval, swords, candles, Gothic, dark, chains, armor, just thinking of all the things.
Castles, dragons, knights,
dragons, all that stuff. So it's that kind of stuff. But what I just want to chime in, what I really like the fonts. Like the fonts are, go look this up. Like if you go to Etsy, put in, medieval space core, castle core, like the fonts are really cool. I'm seeing one t-shirt that has a font that literally all of the like ends of the font is the top of a castle.
That's so cool.
It looks awesome. It looks really cool. And then just some of the medieval style fonts are just really, I think they're really cool looking designs. So that's one thing I really like.
Yeah, one of the best selling t-shirts. So I noticed when I filtered it by best sellers in Etsy, when I searched medieval and filtered by best sellers. So remember, medieval is already getting around 2,000 monthly searches. I think it was like 1,997 monthly searches right now. And I filtered by best sellers, and I saw a t-shirt that I think is hilarious. Born to jest, forced to joust. And it shows like it shows like this. I don't know what they're called, jousters on a horse, and he's like next
I
to
see it.
I think a jester, those kind of clown looking things.
Who would even buy that? But it's a bestseller.
Dude, it's a bestseller. I know.
Who
It's
would buy
currently
that? Because
it's currently in 17 carts. So clearly there's a demand for this.
it's like a clown and a jouster. Are those related? Like, are those both medieval
They're
things?
both,
Like,
oh
I
yeah,
just
they're
like,
both medieval for sure.
okay.
I think that's a jester, which is looks like a clown on the shirt, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's sales validation here showing that there's a number of recent sales for this particular shirt, and it's in 17 carts and has a bestseller match. So lots of validation to show.
There's actually, did you see that there's some variations over here too? Born to be a dragon slayer, forced to be a taxpayer.
Oh, that's hilarious. So funny, man. So funny.
So good.
Anyhow, so yeah, we could be here all day talking about these Castle Core designs, but you know, I always say it, funny and relatable designs are the low-hanging fruit of design creation. This is one of my favorite things to sell. My favorite designs to create are funny and relatable. And in my experience, those are almost always my best sellers and almost always my students' best sellers as well. So, I mean, case in point, this born to jest, forced to joust. I'm not too sure who the niche is. It says like in the keywords for the title, it says like Renaissance, gamer, gaming, fantasy, medieval. I don't actually know, but if you could take this and then actually make this applicable to your niche, which I know our listeners are creative and I know they can find creative ways to do this, but that's how I think you're going to get the most sales out of a trend like this.
For sure.
But I do think it's cool. And I definitely see Castle Core stuff making a lot of sales. And I definitely recommend testing it out. Like, why not, right? See if people like it. See if people in your niche like it. A lot of people, I think we forget that, you know, we focus so much on just creating designs that evoke emotion and relatability for our niche, and we absolutely should. That should always be the primary focus, in my opinion. However, a lot of these people also like to be on trend, and they might be going out and buying some broad appeal chinoiserie shirt or Castle Core shirt because there's nothing that shows their particular interest blended with this, right? And that's an opportunity, a huge opportunity, in my opinion. And I do think, you know, I think the majority of designs that sellers release should be what's called evergreen designs, meaning they can sell all year round. But if there is a trend, like something that's really popular right now, it's always worth trying blending it with your niche. We don't know how long each trend is going to be around for. I think a lot of people thought Coquette was going to be long gone by now. It's absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And then this might be around for years. Who knows, right? So it's always worth a shot. We encourage people to release a high volume of designs because going back to what I said at the beginning, it's your designs that are going to take your business to the next level. Without a good design, you could have the best market in the world. You could get your products in front of millions of people. If nobody likes them, no one's going to buy them. Mm-hmm. And that's all you need is one winning design to take your brand to a whole new level. So definitely try blending these trends that we're talking about with your niche and see how it goes. And even if you don't make a bunch of sales, maybe it totally falls flat. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a trend. It's probably actually the slogan or certain elements of the design that just aren't resonating with your target audience. So, just creating one design isn't really a solid sample size. That's a really tiny sample size to make a decision like, oh, my audience hates chinoiserie. Mm-hmm. From one design, really? All right, I'm going off on a rant here. Let me just jump into trend number 4.
Well, let me just finish that up by just adding just for people out there. Now, the direct thing we talked about was Castle Core. I put in a couple different terms again to Google Trends, but I ended up with medieval just to kind of see that would give us a good beat on are more people interested in medieval stuff. And that one over the past 5 years, again, steadily increasing in popularity. And it is currently like at its most popular point it's been really like in the past 5 years or so. It looks like it spikes a little bit. Maybe that's in the summertime as a guess. Let me see. It's a little bit of a spike. September, October. Yeah, every September, October, there's a little bit of a spike. Maybe there's like a big convention or something that happens around that time. I don't know, but it is definitely like a steady incline over the last few years. So looks like a solid trend.
Yeah, they do have like a medieval festival here in Phoenix every single year, and it's huge. A lot of people attend this event. It's like a big deal, but I don't actually remember what month it is. So that's I don't know, but yeah, I definitely think that there's something to this trend, and there's already sales validation showing that medieval inspired designs are selling. So definitely don't sleep on this one, in my opinion. I feel like there's some niches that this is just a natural fit with, and then some that you got to be a little bit more creative. But remember, like, you don't need a lot of creativity to create winning designs. One, most winning designs are simple. And two, you can be doing and should be doing the design research to see what's winning, and then reverse engineering these viral style designs and taking elements from that, taking inspiration from that to create original designs for your particular target audience who are probably underserved in a lot of these trends. So, all right, we are on the fourth and final trend. And this one, I think, is going to be particularly big in the spring and summer of 2025. But I am really starting to see this take off. I created a YouTube video about this one. I'm actually going to link the YouTube videos that are specific to these trends in the show notes. But I created one about this one a couple months ago, and I'm already starting to see it make sales. It was kind of starting to take off at that point already, too. That is the fisherman aesthetic. And I just want to be really, really clear here. This is not the same as the fisherman niche. Totally different. The fisherman niche is creating designs that evoke emotion and relatability for fishermen or fish enthusiasts, people who love to fish. The fisherman aesthetic, this is more of a design trend. And I actually see this on more female clothes than I do on males' clothes. I mean, I'm sure there's some strong selling fisherman aesthetic clothes for males as well, but I am seeing it more on sort of the female side. So let me read what the report has to say about the fisherman aesthetic, and then we'll look at some of the trending terms and talk about it. So here's what it says: Meet the effortlessly cool town fisherman. In 2025, Gen Z and Gen X will embrace a laid-back maritime attitude and bring a c'est la vie. Oh, I get it. It's a play on words like c'est la vie, but S-E-A, c'est la vie, take to everything, even if the ocean is nowhere in sight. Get ready for cable knit sweaters, sardine tattoos, and stripes on everything. So here are some of the trending Pinterest search terms. Fisherman sandals up 30%, cable knit sweaters up 110%, fish bag up 50%. That could also be a tote bag maybe. Raincoat outfit aesthetic up 35%, and then sardine tattoo up 80%. Carrie, before I say any more, I want to get your initial thoughts on the fisherman aesthetic.
Well, I think there's definitely a lot you could work with here. Just it's that fisherman like laid back lifestyle. I think if you look up the sardine tattoos, that gives you some stuff to go with, right? As far I'm thinking of designs, but then also just maybe incorporating things like starfishes and fishes and different things. You want to be careful that it's not too much leaning into the fisherman niche, but if you can combine some of these elements, I think the stripes is a big one. Maybe there's something you could probably take from the stripes there. Interested to know like how you see it in terms of like print on demand designs though.
Yeah. So here's what I see selling when I look at some of the data, like print on demand or could be print on demand designs. When I go into a platform like Etsy and I'm doing my design research, I'm just looking at designs that could very easily be print on demand designs. And what I'm seeing is designs that are characterized by stripes. So, like they said, very maritime feel, very oceany kind of feel, retro looking designs with fish, designs with lobsters, designs with sea creatures, and then particularly the colors blue and white. I'm starting to think that blue and white are just going to be a really big deal in 2025.
It's the same colors we had talked about earlier.
Chinoiserie.
Like I see one that says this Sea La Vie.
Yeah.
And it's got like an anchor, starfish, and it's the blue and white. And then it's also got the bows. So it's like definitely combining these trends together for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at one right now in Etsy. It's got the bestseller badge. It says sardines Portugal, and then it shows like a can of sardines. Like it shows the can, and then it shows sardines in the can, so it actually shows fish on it.
That's the tattoo.
What's that?
That's what the tattoo is. Like if you look up sardines tattoo, it's the can of sardines with the thing peeled back.
Yeah, that's exactly what this shirt is, and it's in 19 carts right now.
It's crazy.
I can look at I'm looking at the recent data, and I can see that a ton of people are buying this shirt right now. So it is selling, and I think this is going to get even bigger as we get closer to the summertime. When more people are going to the beach, and you see kind of more beach inspired fashion and whatnot. So I think that this is going to be huge in 2025. And already, I just searched the term fish on Etsy, because a lot of these terms are not very searchable. Like if you go into Etsy and you search the actual term, a lot of them are kind of crafted by Pinterest, right? But what you can do is you can take synonymous terms like medieval instead of castlecore. And you can see that there's a ton of people searching medieval, and you can see a lot of medieval inspired print on demand designs, which in my opinion are very similar to castlecore. Based on the descriptions and what I see when I search. So I just searched the term fish on Etsy, and I can see that there's almost 2,000 monthly searches. Again, signaling strong demand for the fisherman aesthetic. And I, again, expect that to continue trending throughout the year. The most common print-on-demand product that I see when I search the results is t-shirts. And there are you do see the fisherman aesthetic on a lot of other things. You see it on knitted sweatshirts. You see it on other products. You see it on hoodies and sweatshirts. But I see it mostly on t-shirts. And there's a number of them that are selling really well right now because it's trendy. And again, if you can take that trend and take it over to your niche, which might be underserved in that area, that could be a huge opportunity for you and your brand. What are your thoughts, Carrie? Anything else you want to mention about the fisherman aesthetic?
Yeah, well, let me just kind of throw a tip out there, because this has kind of been my go-to thing to do lately, which is that this thing has been really helpful. So maybe this will help somebody. But these four, like there might be aspects of these that are a little bit hard to understand, or you're kind of trying to wrap your head around how would you apply it to your niche. Pop it into ChatGPT and ask it. And what I found as we're going through this is there were lots of other terms that were closely related, but maybe weren't exactly what we said, right? Like we found all these other terms, like we found grand millennial, and we found, all these medieval and different things. So I put in, just as an example, so I put into ChatGPT just while you were talking that last bit there, what are 10 other closely related terms for the style fisherman aesthetic? Like literally just asking it, basically what you're asking is what are other terms I could call this style, right? So some of the things that came up: coastal, maritime, nautical. We got like sailor, seafarer. There was a couple other ones here that I thought were good. New England inspired, dock worker, oceanic. So like these are other terms that you could put in there. Another one that came up was coastal grandfather core. You were talking about grandfather core earlier, and it's like coastal grandfather. Awesome. So like, just putting those into like your favorite AI and just asking it, hey, first of all, can you explain this to me? Even asking it, how would you apply this to a print on demand brand, and maybe saying, here's my niche and everything. or also just saying, what are other terms that are closely related that I could pop into a search engine, and having it kind of analyze it for you, I think is just helpful to help you understand it a little bit more and maybe find some other creative ways to apply it.
That's an excellent tip. An excellent tip. And ChatGPT is so good for that. Good for that. Even for like some design inspo. Now, my favorite way to do design research is to find designs that are actually selling really well right now, like active bestsellers, and then reverse engineer those and use those as inspiration to create original designs. But it's not to say that you can't still try to, get some slogans from ChatGPT. What are some, create some funny slogans for dog lovers blended with fisherman aesthetic, or blended with like nautical theme or something like that, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT is so helpful for that. Google Gemini can be good for that kind of stuff too. Good stuff. All right. Well, I had a pro tip that I wanted to share, but I've been sprinkling that pro tip throughout this entire episode. Nice. And really that is just, again, to double down on not just creating broad appeal designs with these trends, but blend them with your particular niche and serve the underserved. Those people, like I said, they might go out and buy like chinoiserie inspired designs that have nothing to do with the niche because they don't see any good ones for their particular niche. But we know that a lot of people, they love to share their identity, literally wear their identity. And if they're really passionate about it, they want people to know. So definitely try blending this with blending some of these or all of these trends with your particular niche. This is just a great way to differentiate and stand out from the crowd while still leveraging popular design trends and creating products that are relevant to your target audience. So just to summarize those 4 trends, the first was cherries. They called it cherry coated, but it was cherries. The second was Rococo revival, which we narrowed down further to chinoiserie, which is really taking off right now. Third was castlecore, which it's easier to search if you look for medieval inspired designs. And then fourth was the fisherman aesthetic. And you can just go into somewhere like Etsy and search fish and see all the t-shirts that come up. And a lot of them are in the fisherman aesthetic. So in closing, I just want to kind of mention something somewhere where if you actually want to see what these look like and you want to see tutorials on how to create for these particular trends. So what you're listening to right now is a long form audio first podcast. So our podcast, this podcast, it is optimized for listeners, not so much viewers, but we do love putting it on YouTube because some people prefer to watch their podcasts on YouTube. But if you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, you're not going to see visuals because it's meant to be a long form audio first podcast. However, if you do go over to my YouTube channel at adrian.vonarks, I post weekly shorter form videos. Many of them are about the latest print on demand trends, design trends, product trends, that kind of thing. Where I actually show you the trend. I show you best-selling designs. I do the product research, and then I do design tutorials so that you can take these trends and you can create original designs for your particular niche. So every single trend that we talked about today, I actually have dedicated videos for. They're probably average about 8 to 12 minutes long each. And we go through all those things. So if you actually do want to see what these look like, I'm going to link them below. But you can also just go over to @adrian.vonarks on YouTube and you can check those out. A lot of them, they won't have like the trend in the title. So that's why I'm going to link them below so that you can actually go straight to these videos based on what trend or you want to see or all of them. So that is it for this episode. Carrie, any final thoughts?
No, thanks for bringing all these trends up. I love reading about them and hearing about them, and let's go apply them.
Awesome. That's exactly what I was going to say. So thank you everyone for listening. We love you guys. You guys are so awesome. I know you're action takers. We know you're action takers. So we want you to go out there, take action, start before you're ready, and always remember that you're always just one design away.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us an honest review on whichever platform you're listening from. Thanks again and have a great day.